Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me clearly? It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm going to be sharing with you on a topic which is really personal to me. It is a simple one. Why do good systems keep failing? Why do good systems keep failing? We're in a world where governments are spending billions on reforms. Our institutions are data rich. We have algorithms that can even predict human behavior. And yet our systems are still failing. We see financial crises all around us. We take note that our society is polarized. We realize that there is eroding trust in our leaders and our policies are just not delivering. So maybe the problem isn't the effort we are putting in. Maybe the problem is not our intelligence, how smart we are. Maybe the problem is not the resources. Maybe the problem is information and the quality of the information we have in our systems. So today I want to share with you a simple idea, born out of my own experiences, traveling different countries, all different parts of the world, that I hope we can use in our thinking about how we can redesign our future. Perhaps we can use this simple idea to think about how we make societies more trustworthy. Or perhaps it may give you an idea of how you can even reflect on yourselves. So come with me. Let me show you or share with you where my own story began. It's 3 a.m. It's in the middle of the night. It's dark and you're dead asleep. It's quiet. You're so asleep. If somebody wakes you, you wouldn't even know where you are or what you're doing. It's dead silent, and then the phone rings. And on the other end of the phone is not somebody giving you a joke. Because when a phone rings at 3 a.m., it's normally the universal sound for something has gone really wrong. So my heart is beating and the adrenaline is pumping. And on the other end of the phone is a voice so crisp and clear that says to you, you got the job. In that moment, in that single moment, nothing in my room changed. The furniture was still there. The light was still flickering in the street. But in that moment, a signal had entered my reality that changed my whole future. 12 hours before, that room would have been filled with uncertainty and anxiety. But now, because a signal entered my reality, that room was now filled with endless possibilities. It was in that moment that I started to understand that we don't just live in a world of things, we live in a world of signals. I realized then and there that life really does run on information. It hit me more profoundly than anything else that, of course, information determines the outcome of our elections. Information determines, what we do with our lives. Information says a lot about who we are. Information determines who we love, who we hate, who we fear. Information gives us hope because hope is nothing more than information about the future. Biology tells us that DNA is information that tells our bodies what's our size, our height, the color of our hair, the color of our skin, the color of our eyes. Psychology tells us that information is the difference that makes the difference. Religion tells us that all we see around us, the created world, was made by the Word. Life runs on information. But here's the paradox. Here's the paradox. We are in the information age. We are information obese, and some would even say, one at the same time, information illiterate. We are drowning in data. But how many of us really do understand how information bends, how it breaks, or how it distorts? Do we really understand that we are in the information age? So then it hit me. It really hit me. What then makes for good information? What makes information good? And I boiled it down to three things. I call it CAT. No, not the animal, but just for you to remember, CAT. C, clarity. A, accuracy. And T, timeliness. Clarity. Do you understand what I am saying to you? Accuracy. Is it true? And timeliness. Does the information come to you when it matters? You see, if any one of these breaks, you enter what I've now determined to call the distortion zone. This is the place where systems fail, where policies don't deliver their outcomes. This is a space where even solid relationships break down. So come with me, let me explain how my lived reality has explained these three things to me. Let me start with clarity. A few years ago, in my 20s, I decided that it was time for me to be a young entrepreneur. So I listened to all the office talk, and they were saying, you need to get in the trucking business. So I was very enthusiastic. I saved up all my money. I was very committed, and I bought my first truck. I had enthusiasm, I had money, I had my truck, but I had no clarity. I didn't even know, where would you park the truck at nights? Where would you get the continuous contracts after the first one? What would you do when all the operational costs started piling up? So I had a lot of enthusiasm, but I had no clarity. The business failed in 2 months. It wasn't because I didn't have effort. It wasn't because I didn't have a lot of passion and optimism. I didn't have any clarity. See, next one is accuracy. So a doctor, for 5 years, a doctor prescribed that I should take eye drops every night because I had glaucoma. Went to see him. He's a doctor that I trust. His information was good. I did all the tests. And he said, drop this eye drop in your eyes every night. If you don't do it, after a few years, you're going to get glaucoma and you're going to be blind. So religiously, I dropped every night. Every night, every night. Well, fast forward 5 years, I moved cities. I saw a new doctor. He ran the same tests. And then he looked me straight in the eyes and said, you don't have glaucoma. You never did. It was the shape of your eyes. 5 years, drop after drop after drop every night for a disease I did not have. And then it hit me. I wonder how many times I've failed to question things that people said to me that were inaccurate. Accuracy matters. It doesn't matter how clear the information is, how timely it is. If the information is wrong, it's just wrong. And when accuracy fails, trust goes with it. Clarity, accuracy, now timeliness. Even if you have clear information and accurate information, if that information doesn't come at the right time, it's of no use to you. Let me put it this way. If you need an ambulance and the ambulance comes 3 hours late, it doesn't matter how great the doctors are, how skilled they are, it's late and you're in trouble. Information really does have an expiry date. Let me tell you a simple story. A few years I was working on a global health policy. It was a bold transformational policy that was intended to change the lives of millions. We worked hard through the night. We were ready to release it. We were about to clap and celebrate. And then right at the very end, somebody inserts 4 little words that changed everything. They put in the words, according to country context. Those 4 words ripped out any urgency in that policy. What that actually meant was any country, anywhere in the world, could implement the policy whenever they needed to. And when urgency and timeliness goes through the window, so does opportunity, so does impact. What did I say again? Clarity, accuracy, timeliness. I started seeing this everywhere in my life, in my relationships, in my leadership abilities, in businesses. I started seeing these things everywhere. C-A-T, 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 everywhere. So I boiled it down to an equation. What is the simple equation? Information quality is equal to C, clarity, plus A, accuracy, plus T, timeliness, divided by distortion, D. What did I say? C plus A plus T divided by D. You can't miss it. You see, even if you don't know maths, the number at the top is called the numerator and the number at the bottom is called the denominator. It doesn't matter how strong the number at the top is. If the number at the bottom keeps rising, the whole equation is tending towards 0. Do you understand? No matter how clear and accurate and timely the information is, if distortion is in the data, you're going to have what I call the distortion effect. And that means trust. It means trust. It means truth. And it means impact goes through the window. But that was the equation. But it taught me something more important. What did it teach me? It taught me that disruption is really the gap between reality and perception. You know, distortion spreads very quickly. It taught me that distortion is actually quite more dangerous than ignorance. You see, ignorance says, I don't know, in a humble way. Distortion says, I know and I'm right. Ignorance says, let me ask the questions. Distortion says, I don't need to ask any questions. I know the answers. Ignorance says, let me seek for truth. Distortion says, let me protect the truth I already have. Ignorance says, let me try to be informed. Distortion says, I'm already informed, I know everything. And I'm going to defend what I know to the death. So you see, my friends, this is a real challenge in why our systems are failing. Distortion is more dangerous than ignorance. But forget what I think. It goes back way into history. I'm from the Caribbean. And in 1492, a man called Christopher Columbus set sail to find a new path to India. And he was using distorted maps and flawed information. He washed up on the shores of the Caribbean and he called it the West Indies because he had found India. He called the people that he met Indians. They were actually Arawaks and Caribs. But that's not the challenge. The issue is 500 years ago, his fossilized distortion has become my reality. How so? I went to a university called the University of the West Indies. And one of my favorite cricket teams is called the West Indies cricket team. 500 years of error has now shaped culture, shaped reality, shaped institutions, and is affecting my life. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Information, when distorted, helps systems to fail. It's still happening right now. But you know, my friends, That's not the worst type of distortion. The worst type of distortion is not in governments or in the systems around us. The worst type of distortion is the distortion that we tell ourselves. I'm not good enough. You'll never be a success. If you tell yourself that over and over and over again, information is not just about what you know. It eventually changes who you become. So let me challenge you today before I end. I'm challenging all of you seated in this room not to be victims of the information age, but to be masters of it. How do you become masters? The next time you see a news flash up on your phone that says breaking news, pause and take a deep breath and ask the question, is it clear? Is it accurate? Is it timely? Whose signal is trying to shape my reality? You know, I often go back to that 3 a.m. call in the morning. The truth is that call changed my whole life. It changed my future. The future that we're trying to reimagine will not be defined by those who shout the loudest. It will not be defined by those who spend the most money. It will be defined by those of us in this room who choose clarity, accuracy, and timeless over everything. The truth is that information is that quiet code that shapes everything in our world. It shapes what you believe, who you trust, and what you think about possibilities. So the next time your phone rings, the next time your phone vibrates, remember, a signal is coming into your life. And sometimes that simple signal can change your reality. Thank you.